We are back with a Support Local series. Riyad, Will, and Saman here.
Yes, guys, please follow us on our socials, BTR Group GTA, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever else. Oh, and also on Facebook.
Awesome. And I'd like to welcome our next guest, Brittany from Be Free Mindset. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Saman. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited because this is a topic that is very relevant in today's age, whether it's, personal, corporate. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and just give us a little background on your business and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Brittany Freeman. I am the CEO of Be Free Mindset. That is my mindset coaching business. And basically I work with, mainly women, but I do work in the corporate space as well to really help them move through any challenges, navigate any big life changes that they're facing, and build confidence, build their communication skills, and just get that clarity that they're looking for to make the next step in their life.
And how did you get into this? Like, what brought this on?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You can't just
Yeah,
drop
we
that on me.
It's got a purpose.
Yeah, so I would say I was going through a lot of my own struggles back in end of 2018, 2019. So I actually was just I think I was 28, 29 at that time. And I was really looking to figure out what the next decade of my life was going to look like. And I was
turning 30
is
is a big deal.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
50 is an even bigger deal, but 30 is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it just brings a lot of I feel like naturally it's that pressure that you feel you've gone through your 20s, you're about to turn 30, you're like, okay, what do I want for this next season of my life? And so I was asking myself a lot of the tough questions. And I really wasn't happy in my job at the time. I was working in a hospital foundation. It was just a toxic workplace, but also I was burning out. I was in event planning and fundraising. And then my health wasn't doing so great. And then I was also in just a toxic relationship, and I needed to move around, shake things up, and actually get out of a lot of those spaces. So I quit my job. Thank you.
Yeah.
I left the relationship. And I actually ended up in the hospital, which is what turned things around.
That's not
He's clapping.
It was a turning point, though. It was a turning point.
My apology. Yes.
Yeah. So at that point, I took some time off to really think about what I wanted to do next, and be really intentional with my next steps. I actually hired my own coach at the time, and we worked through a lot of the things that were coming up for me, like any self-sabotaging tendencies.
Was it a lifestyle coach or is it a mindset coach? Or?
Yeah, so she was basically a life coach.
A life coach, okay.
Really, she did specialize in career development and focus. So because I was shifting, I was like, okay, what are my skill set that I can take into other industries, or what am I really good at, or let's piece together all the things that I've done in my life and figure out where that connector piece is. So we did a lot of that, and then I was like, you know what, I used to teach actually English in Korea, so I've always been into the teaching and mentorship, and then my background is in science, so I really wanted to actually uncover some of the things with the mind-body connection, psychology. So piecing all those together, I'm like, you know what? Why am I not mentoring other people and helping them navigate these kind of challenges? I also was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 18, and I actually had to drop out of university at that point and go for emergency surgery, heal. Wow. And so mindset was a massive piece. And so, yeah, just stringing that along from literally things that I experienced in my early teens up until now, that kind of led me into the industry.
So you're facing challenges at the age of 18, and then you came to the realization at 28. Mm-hmm. Do you think that it took you longer than needed to come to this realization? Do you think that you should have done this, taken this endeavor upon yourself sooner? Or can you talk about the importance of, people realizing that there's an issue, they need to fix it, but they keep on pushing it down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think if I really go back, there was a lot of things, in my childhood that I was probably just suppressing naturally, right? Who I am and just being my full authentic self. And that comes naturally with wanting to fit in, going into transitioning from high school to university and making sure that you're in the social scene and, being
right.
part of the group. So I don't necessarily think that it could have happened any different in terms of any earlier. only because I had to endure all of that and face all of those things in order to recognize like what I needed to work on. I needed to go through, you know, the toxic job and understand burnout and overwhelm and pushing myself. I needed to go through that toxic relationship because, you know, there's things that I needed to learn and uncover about myself too, and patterns in people, or, you know, expectations that I had and not settling and that sort of thing. So I think it just, everybody's timeline is different. You know, you learn things as you go, but I think at that age, like, yeah, between the 25 to 30 mark, most people are kind of having this itch or nudge to want to do something a little different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to ask a question now.
Yes, go ahead, Will.
What does mindset mean?
I feel like it's
Loaded question.
yeah,
Will.
that's like what's with the loaded questions. Will?
We're going 1, 2, 3 like this. You know?
Right.
Honestly, it's like a lifestyle. Like really, it's embodying like showing up as courageous, confident, making decisions for yourself that are in line with your values and your belief system. Mindset is literally just feeling really comfortable with where you are and also pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Right. Here's a question. Because I'm not going to say that my mindset's great. But I think it's you know, my mindset's pretty good. How important is it being selfish? And when I say that, putting yourself first to get the mindset you need to move forward.
Like very important. It's priority. You know, we spend a lot of time like pleasing other people as we're like going through the years, and it's not until you take a step back and realize like what it is that you need and how you want to show up in this world. And if you want to live in integrity to your own word, that then helps you develop as a person, grow, educate yourself, learn new things, unlearn a lot, and then actually inspire other people to do the same. So if you're not showing up and doing the work yourself,
right,
then you can't expect anybody in your surrounding, anyone that you attract.
What does showing up mean? Showing could be a variety of things.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Like what does showing up mean to someone to have a balanced or a good mindset?
Right. So it's making sure that you're, in terms of like, I want to say like you're not betraying yourself. Yeah, you're not making decisions where you feel like there's a part of you that is like unhappy, or you don't have that freedom that you want, or you don't have, you know, the support that you need. It's really stepping into actually taking the time to understand what you need and then moving forward with that. So showing up is literally just going for what you want,
right,
putting yourself in those rooms and those opportunities and around people who are going to help you elevate as well.
Right.
So it's giving yourself the opportunity to succeed.
So how do you work with people? Is it like Zoom or is it in person?
Yeah, so it's both. Mainly because I started my business during the time of the pandemic, which was when a lot of people needed mindset support and mental health support. Most of it is done online over Zoom. So I work with people all across really Canada as well as into the US. But GTA is, you know, the main hub for most of the work that I do. And then in the corporate, so I go in as well, corporate sessions, and kind of do it as like a group setting within a team. We'll have like workshops, but majority of the work is online, in the online space, one-to-one.
Are you noticing any trends? Like, are your would you call them your patients, your
clients?
Are you noticing any trends? Like, is it millennials? Is it Gen Zs? Is it boomers? Is it people who are, you know, employed, not employed?
Yeah, so I would say like even just the age group itself is probably like 25 to 45 is the main.
You still cut it.
Well, I got it too long.
And the earlier half of those individuals, so like between the 25 to 35, usually they're navigating something big. So they're either making like a big transition in their career, moving away from the career that they're in into like a new business, or, you know, I have a lot of women who are new moms and they're navigating how to prioritize themselves and like how to better build habits and sustainable habits that allow themselves to put themselves first so that they're filling their cup in order to make sure that they can fill their family's cup as well. It's more of an overflow. So I would say, and then like business owners, I get a lot of business owners who I think it's just in the earlier stages of business, there's a lot of self-doubt. that creeps in, a lot of comparison, a lot of having to navigate those self-sabotaging tendencies of like perfectionism or the all or nothing mindset, where it's like I either have to do it this way or do nothing at all, and it's like paralysis. So I'd say within those kind of that realm. And then even just for communication. So within corporate, a lot of it is based on communication. So people wanting to better communicate with their teams.
What does that mean? Better communicate.
Better communicate. So build rapport, first of all, build a better relationship to help nurture, the team dynamic. So people aren't feeling like they aren't good enough, or their opinions or their projects or whatever doesn't matter. So I specialize in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and it's basically I just say that it's like the user's manual for the subconscious mind, because it's, if you think of like a holographic filing cabinet, it's literally all of your stored beliefs and value systems, and anything you've experienced is kind of stored in there, and we're unpacking that. And within that, kind of under that umbrella, there's a lot of work on communication that we can kind of pull from there. So, building rapport with your colleagues, or, with your partners, or with anyone that you even work with. And yeah, focusing on that communication piece within that setting.
If someone is thinking that perhaps they need your services or your help, is there, some sort of like diagnosis that people do at home? Like, is it that as soon as they have that belief that they can't accomplish something, or they feel overwhelmed, is that when people connect with you? Or what are some of the first steps that you take when you meet new clients?
Right. So I think for clients who are feeling, most of the time they tell me they're feeling stuck. So they're feeling like this stagnancy, like they feel like they're wanting to do more, or they feel like they can make a bigger impact in life, and they don't know where to even start. Or there's things chronically showing up, right? Like signs of overwhelm and stress. Maybe their body is showing forms of dis-ease, like, inflammation, or they have digestive issues, or anything like that. Those are usually the people who kind of like, I guess, are drawn to me. And with my background in science, like I can it's not necessarily a diagnosis, because everybody's going through something, right, at some point in their life. It's really just navigating like, okay, is this a point in your life where you want to make change and you're actually ready to? Because that's the other thing. Like, people may come and connect with me, and I have clarity calls, so you can just come and chat. We can get to know you a little bit better and see if this is suitable for you, or, if I can support you. But the big thing is like people need to be ready, need to want to change, and they also need to cut the bullshit of like, I'm not willing to do the work, because it is work, and you're going to be uncomfortable, and that's the point of it. That's how we grow. So
you say you were from Durham. Let's change up a little bit.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite local businesses?
Oh my God. So in the past couple of years, actually being in business, I've just met a ton of small business owners. I lived in Whitby for a while. So like downtown Whitby, there's quite a few number of businesses now that have opened up. There's that Mexican place.
Surf?
Surf, yeah. Surf. I love Surf. Actually, the first time I went there, the owner came and was chatting with me, and he just made sure that the experience was really great, which I very much appreciated. Trying to think of other local businesses. So there's a lot of vendors that I actually work with, even with being in my business, because I like to give clients gifts and that sort of thing with working together. So there's a candle company called Relate Yourself Candle. They're great. There's local businesses like jewelry vendors and that sort of thing online that I've been working. I think you interviewed Jeannie from Osteo Jeannie.
Yes.
So I've been connecting with her, and her work is great. It's also holistic, so it kind of meshes as well. I send a lot of referrals her way just to say check it out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Try it out. So there's I guess a couple that I can think of.
So favorite restaurant in Durham?
Restaurant? Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot.
It doesn't have to be. Maybe give us, if it's
How
hard
about
to choose.
GTA?
Yeah.
No.
That's even harder,
Let's stay
'cause you
Durham.
just-
Let's stay Durham. But
Yeah.
maybe we go top
I
three.
really like KB.
Ah,
Very
yes.
nice.
Yeah.
I really
Yes.
like KB. I think it's a good date spot, but it's also great to hang out the guys or the girls and go there for a night, just have a couple drinks, and it's actually good food as well. Yeah, I would say KB is great. Again, I like Shook. I'm in Pickering
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So
Love
Shook's
to. I
a
was there
great
yesterday for
spot.
lunch.
Very nice.
It's a good spot. I think that's all I can think of off the top
Good
of
spot.
my head.
Back to what you do. I have a question. Because 20 years ago, I don't believe there'd be a need for your kind of business.
Right.
How big of a role is social media playing in impacting people's ability to sort of progress, understand their issues, and move on?
Good question.
Thank you.
That's a really good question. It's huge. I think social media in general made like mental health awareness. It almost did both. It sometimes in some ways made it worse.
Yes.
But then on the other side of the spectrum, you have access to so many resources and so many different people that you can look into. And if you resonate with them, you can have access to tools and educational content. So I think it's made a huge difference in, even my industry in the online space, and even for you guys, right? Like just being able to advertise your business and have people find you that you would never think you'd be working with. And I think that is a blessing. Honestly, I'm really thankful and grateful for that and appreciative. So yeah, the online space is a great space. There's boundaries. You just have to have boundaries, and you need to filter out what you want to be seeing and what you don't want to
But
be
how?
seeing.
How can someone that's addicted to social media,
Yeah.
and we know the phone listens to you, things come up, how do you wean yourself off the power of social media, or how do you limit your time on it?
So it's habits. Again, everything is habits. So it's like, how do you stop doing anything? How does someone stop smoking? Or how does someone stop emotionally eating? Or, all of these things. It's weaning off slowly. And it's actually, first of all, being aware of the habit. So
Right.
Yeah.
I actually work with clients that are like, yeah, I spend a lot of time on social media. And in the first few weeks of working together, I make them map out a couple days each week. And you'd be surprised how many people spend just scrolling. Like wake up in the morning, they're on their phone scrolling. The first thing they go and do is check an email. And I used to be that person too, right? So it's moving into the habit of actively being conscious that you're doing that. And then again, like I said, wanting to make the change. So it's small increments, right? We don't try to knock it off all at once. Yeah. What I did, for example, I put a timer on my apps for my social media apps. Like on an iPhone, you can actually set 2 hours max on your phone. And when that alarm goes off, I will not. I'm like, oh my God, it's 10 minutes left. I better film this reel and put my content up, and then we're done for the day. So you start there, and then it just becomes more conscious because it's a reminder that's coming in. So anything that breaks the habit is a good way to kind of start from there.
What about, are there 3 books that you can recommend to people that will help them on their mindset?
Yes. Okay. So Brianna Weist, she's a writer and author. So she has actually 2 really great books. The Mountain Is You is a really great one, navigating the journey from just all the topics in life that you would face day to day. So that's a great book. That she also has The Pivot Year, which is another one. And then I'll say one for anyone kind of beginning in the beginning stages. Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule.
Oh yes. Yep.
Awesome.
Good book. Good woman.
It was the first one that I read really that I actually utilized, and it's literally just about doing something in 5 seconds, getting off your butt, alarm goes off, you don't wait, you count to 5 and you get up. And so I thought her way of motivating people through her written books, but also on social media and that sort of thing. She's great.
She's very good on social media.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
What's the biggest misconception of life? What do people?
That's a huge question
Wow.
right there.
What is
Deep.
I personally believe, and I think that's until probably 30. That I think people believe life should be what you see, easy, right?
Yeah.
And when the reality sets in, that you actually got to put the work and the time, and nothing worth having in life should require work.
That's
how do you get people to get there?
Yeah, so that's a big one, right? People do think that it is easy. People think entrepreneurship is easy, and it's literally the hardest thing you can do because you need to be wearing all the hats.
Yep.
You need to make all the decisions. You are in charge of your own, revenue, all of those things, and you need to live, right? So there's a lot riding on your shoulders. But yeah, I think getting people to the state of just showing up in terms of putting themselves in the room and taking the next step and being open to learning and being open to learning, but also being open to receiving like feedback, criticism, and taking that not to heart, but taking it as a way to improve is literally going to help you just take the next steps in life in general.
Right.
So how does somebody find you on social media?
Yes.
And how does somebody work with you?
And you have a great social media, I just said as well.
Thank
The
you.
page is fantastic.
Thank you. So I'm on Instagram, Be Free Mindset. I'm on Facebook, at the same Be Free Mindset as well. LinkedIn, Brittany Freeman. And then people can work with me. So if you do go to any of those platforms, you'll be able to hit a link where you can schedule a free clarity call with me. So if you are struggling with anything in your life right now, if you feel like you're feeling stuck, stagnant, you need a little change, you need some motivation, somebody to help hold you accountable, and also you just need some shifting in your programs and your belief system, then you can reach out there and we can chat.
I have one more question. I know you're going to end it here. I know
No,
you're
no.
hungry.
No, go
You
for
started
it.
your business, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, about 3-4 years ago, yeah.
So how did you get, because your social media is very good, how did you get from idea to implementation?
One super small step at a time.
Like you have anyone that help you, consultants? Like how do you get to
Yeah,
where you
so
are?
I would say like a lot of it, I did it myself and I learned myself,
Right.
and this is why I say it's huge. Like it's a learning experience to
Right.
kind of start that whole process. But I will say that reaching out to people who are way further ahead of you, seeing if they're willing to connect with you and just chat and walk through like their first steps. And that's a lot of what I do right now too. Even when working with clients, it's like, okay, you started in your business and how did you get from a social media that was like all of my personal stuff. It was like a foodie page. I was like obsessed with food. I would post what I'm making, what I was eating outside. And then it completely shifted. But it took time to get like my audience on board, adapting to the idea of like, oh, Brittany, the CEO and the master coach, like what's that all about? And so again, it was part of me just showing up on social media, really awkward. I remember my first video was me in my backyard with sunglasses because clearly I was too afraid of just like showing my whole face on the platform. And I was like very timidly telling people like, yeah, I'm going into coaching, like I'm starting my coaching business. And I cringe now, but honestly, just taking that one small step in calling myself what I wanted to embody at that point.
You put it out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's putting it
Which
out
is
there.
the key.
It's introducing yourself in rooms, again, putting yourself in that networking space that you can chat with people who are way further ahead of you, and start super small and start with yourself and then kind of build as you go.
Awesome.
That matches what our last podcast host was saying, Dan Baker. He was saying a lot of entrepreneurs just want to, start big and go. And his advice was start small and slowly progress.
Plants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put seed in the soil, add some water, you have some fields
There's
along the way.
consistency in what people are saying
I
here.
know.
Yeah.
And anybody who doesn't say that, to be honest, they either got there in unsustainable methods and they're going to burn out as quickly
Yeah,
as
100%.
They got to that rise.
Yeah.
Or they're behind the scenes, they're not that organized.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they have millions of other people's
Oh.
hands in the pot.
Yeah,
Right.
and then take it, and that's money.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So start small, build it up.
Perfect.
Look at that. We're done.
Excellent.
We're done.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Brittany. That was
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for
amazing.
coming here.
Time flies when you're
Yeah.
having
Yes.
fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much.